In a small city called Jacksonville in the United States, a girl of about 8 suddenly went missing with no trace of her whereabouts. After a series of thorough investigation by the security operatives, all to no avail, they were about dropping the case and move on. Because it seemed like a very hard puzzle to fix, just then a woman made a bizarre discovery in her 14-year-old son's bedroom named Phillips, which left everyone in total shock that some people went to the extent of having nightmares. Now, this was what actually happened. 8-year-old Maddie Clifton's disappearance was reported around 5 p.m. on the 4th of November 1988. Immediately, investigation started. Police and other private investigators went on a search for her, which lasted for 6 days. When they were just about to give up because there was no trace of how, when, or where she actually disappeared. Days passed by and there was still nothing to hold on to. On November 10, 1988, a woman whose house was just a few meters away from Maddie Clifton's home was cleaning up her apartment when she got to her 14-year-old son's room named Philip, whom had already gone to school at that time. She perceived a foul stench and immediately noticed a wet spot on the floor. More like dried up blood spills, she hurriedly began to search the room to get to the source of the smell. She lifted and tumbled the wardrobe. Instead of her initial plans of cleaning the room, she was actually messing it up, even more than she met the room. When she finally lifted the bed, she saw what she could not stand the stare. She just broke down in tears. It was 8-year-old Maddie Clifton's body, laying lifeless beneath her son's bed. Immediately, she went straight to call the police, and Phillips was arrested later that day in school. After he was arrested and investigated, he made some confessions, which the police later termed as not completely true, but regardless, this was his account of what happened. November 3rd, 1988, he was alone at home when Maddie Clifton, who lived across the road just a few meters away, she came to his house asking him to come outside and play baseball because she had no one to play the game with her. As the two were playing the ball, Phillips accidentally hit the ball into Maddie Clifton's eye, causing her to bleed, cry, and wailed very loudly. At this point, Phillips panicked and was very much tensed up because he knew his father would be home anytime soon. And Phillips, being scared of his reaction for not obeying his instructions by letting friends come over, Phillips dragged her into his house as she was screaming, hit her with a baseball bat for a second time to stop her from screaming, before he pushed her beneath his bed. When his dad returned from work, Phillips acted as though all was fine and interacted with him for some time before leaving for his room. When he discovered she was still alive and mourning under his bed, he headed right straight to the kitchen, picked up a knife and went back to his room. He removed the mattress, dragged Maddie outside and stabbed her continuously until he confirmed she was dead. Then he covered her with his mattress and went on to live his life as though nothing happened. Ironically, while the police and private volunteers searched for Maddie Clifton for 6 days, Phillips acted up and participated in the search even though he knew he was guilty. After proper investigations and trials, Phillips was found guilty for the murder of Maddie Clifton and he was sentenced to life in prison.